Welcome back to English online classes. Today we are going to discuss the poem The Tale of Custard the Dragon, written by Ogden Nash. This poem is written in the style of a ballad, a song or poem that tells a story. You must be familiar with ballads that narrate tales of courage or heroism. This poem is a humorous ballad close to a parody. Before moving on to the poem, let's know more about the poet Ogden Nash. Frederick Ogden Nash was an American poet well known for his light verse, of which he wrote over 500 pieces. With his unconventional rhyming schemes, he was declared the country's best-known producer of humorous poetry. With the publication of his first collection, Hard Lines, he began a 40-year career during which he produced 20 volumes of verse with such titles as The Bad Parents' Garden of Verse, I'm a Stranger Here Myself, and Everyone But Thee and Me. He wrote the lyrics for the musicals One Touch of Venus and Two's Company, as well as several children's books. He wrote over 400 pieces of comic verse. The best of his work was published in 14 volumes between 1931 and 1972. This poem, The Tale of Custard the Dragon, is written by Ogden Nash, and it was published in 1995. This poem has been described as probably his most famous poem for kids. This poem is about a little girl, Belinda, who owns many pets, namely a black kitten named Ink, grey mouse named Blink, yellow dog named Mustard, and a cow dragon named Custard. The poet has described every character to be brave except the dragon, who is a coward. But the whole situation changes when a pirate attacked Belinda's house. Dear children, now you listen to the humorous ballad The Tale of Custard the Dragon, written by Ogden Nash. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little grey mouse and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon and a really or truly little pet dragon. Now the name of the little black kitten was Ink, and the little grey mouse she called him Blink, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard, but the dragon was a coward, and she called him Custard. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth, and spikes on top of him and scales underneath, mouth like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and really or truly daggers on his toes. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears, and Ink and Blink chased lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard cried for a nice safe cage. Belinda tickled him, she tickled him unmerciful. Ink, Blink and Mustard, they really called him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red wagon at the really or truly cowardly dragon. Belinda giggled till she shook the house, and Blink said, "Wick," which is giggling for a mouse. Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age when Custard cried for a nice safe cage. Suddenly they heard a nasty sound, and Mustard growled, and they all looked around. "Meouch!" cried Ink, and "Oh!" cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. Pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held in his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. Belinda paled and she cried, "Help! Help!" But Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. ink trickled down to the bottom of the household, and little mouse blinked strategically mousehold. But up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine, clashed his tail like hinds in a dungeon. With a clatter and a clang and a jangling scorn, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon and gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. Belinda embraced him, Mustard licked him. No one mourned for his pirate victim. Ink and bling in glee did gyrate around the dragon that ate the pirate. But presently up spoke little dog Mustard. I would have been twice as brave if I hadn't been flustered. And up spoke Ink and up spoke Bling. We would have been 3 times as brave, we think. And Custard said, I quite agree that everybody is braver than me. Belinda still lives in her little white house with her little black kitten and her little grey mouse, and her little dog and her little red wagon, and her really truly little pet dragon. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears, and Ink and Bling chase lions down the stairs. Mustard is as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard keeps crying for a nice safe cage. How is this poem in the 14th stanza ballad, which tells about a dragon which was covered initially but proved to be courageous and brave? Now let us discuss the poem in detail. Look at the first stanza. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little grey mouse and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon and a really truly little pet dragon. Here the poet says that there lived a girl named Belinda in a little white house. She had a little black kitten, a little grey mouse, a little yellow dog and a little red wagon. Here wagon is a vehicle. And she also had a dragon, a real and true dragon. Here realio means real, trulio means true. Now the name of the little black kitten was Ink, and the little grey mouse she called him Bling, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard, but the dragon was covered and she called him Custard. So here the name of that little black kitten was Ink. The grey mouse was called as Bling. The dog was named as Mustard as it was sharp, and the dragon was covered and shy, and so it was named as Custard. Now the third stanza. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath, mouth like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and really or truly daggers on his toes. So in this stanza, the poet describes the appearance of the dragon. According to him, Custard had big and sharp teeth. It had spikes on its top. Here spikes means thin pointed nails. Okay, it had thin pointed nails on its top and scales underneath. Here scales refers to those thorny bones underneath. Underneath means in the lower area. The mouth of the dragon was like a fireplace. Why? Because it produced fire. You know that dragons produce fire. So that's why the mouth of the dragon was like a fireplace. And the nose was like a chimney. Chimney, you know that, isn't it? So from where the smoke comes. So in addition, it had daggers. Here daggers refers to knife like nails. Daggers means knife like nails. Where it is found? It is found on its toes. So it had daggers on its toes. Now the next stanza. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears, and Ink and Bling chased lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard cried for a nice safe cage. In this stanza, the poet talks about the bravery of Belinda and other pet animals which she owned. According to the poet, Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. That means she had the power equal to that of many bears. And what about Ink and Blink? Ink the kitten and Blink the mouse were so strong and brave that they could even chase lions down the stairs. And what about Mustard? Mustard the dog was as brave as an angry tiger. However, Custard was coward and kept weeping and crying for a nice, safe cage. Now the next stanza. Belinda tickled him, she tickled him unmerciful. Ink, Blink and Mustard, they rudely call him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red wagon at the Relio Trulio Cavalli dragon. So here the poet says that Belinda used to tickle. Tickle means irritate. Irritate the dragon unmercifully. So without mercy, she irritated or she tickled dragon. Ink, Blink and Mustard also made fun of dragon and rudely called him Percival. Here Percival, in history, he was an illiterate person who desired to become a knight of King Arthur. So he was not able to, and that's why he was made fun of by others. Okay, so that's why here rudely Custard was called as Percival. Now, Belinda and other animals used to laugh at this dragon while sitting in the red wagon. Why? Because our dragon was a coward. What do you mean by a cowardly dragon? What do you mean by cowardly? Lacking courage. So cowardly means lacking courage. It's an adjective used here. So what do you mean by coward? Coward is a person who is contemptibly lacking in the courage to do or endure dangerous or unpleasant things. Now the next stanza. Belinda giggled till she shook the house and Blink said, "Weak, which is giggling for a mouse." Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age when Custard cried for a nice safe cage. So here the poet says that whenever Custard cried for a cage, a nice safe cage, Belinda would giggle. Here giggle means it's a laugh, isn't it? The sound produced when someone laughs, giggling, giggle. So loudly, how she laughs? She laughs so loudly that the whole house would echo with her voice. Okay, and what about Blink? Blink would also laugh by producing a sound that weak. Okay, weak is the sound produced when Blink laughed. And Ink and Mustard would ask the dragon about his age in order to irritate him. So whenever Custard cried for a nice safe cage, everyone made fun of him by laughing as well as asking his age. Now listen. Suddenly, they heard a nasty sound, and Mustard growled, and they all looked around. "Meouch!" cried Ink, and "Oh!" cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. One day, suddenly Belinda and her pet animals heard a nasty sound. Here nasty means unpleasant. So they heard an unpleasant sound. All of them got frightened. Mustard growled. Growled means cried. Mustard cried, and all of them started looking around for the one who was making that sound. Both Ink and Belinda raised high-pitched sounds as they saw a pirate who was climbing through the window. Here window means window. So poetic license. Okay, so spelling will be changed by the poet for making a correct rhyme. Now the next stanza. Pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held in his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. So in this stanza, the poet says that the pirate who entered through that window had pistols in both his hands. There was a bright cutlass. Cutlass means sharp blade in his teeth. His beard was black and one of his legs was made up of wood. His appearance made it clear that he was not a good person. Now the next stanza. Belinda paled, she cried, help, help, but must have fled with a terrified yelp. Ink trickled down to the bottom of the household, and little mouse blinked, strategically mousehold. Here the meaning of the word pale is turn yellow due to fear. So when somebody is afraid of something or seeing something, they will turn yellow. So that is pale. So here the poet says that seeing the pirate, Belinda's face got paled. And what did she do? She started crying for help. And what about Mustard? Mustard also got frightened and it ran away, making a noise. Help, a terrified, fearful help. Here, help means a short, sharp cry. And what about ink and blink? Ink trickled down. Here trickle means ran. Okay. So listen. Ink and blink also ran to their holes and they hid themselves. Okay. Here strategically means well planned. Planned. Mouse hole, actually it is the hole where the mouse lives. There is no word like mouse hole. Here the writer has used it as if it is a place where mouse lives. Poetic license. Next stanza. But up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine, clashed his tail like ants in a dungeon. With a clatter and a clang and a jangling scorn, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. Here the poet says that while all other animals ran away to save themselves from the pirate, Custard came forward and started snorting like an engine. Snorting here means making fearful sounds. So it started producing some sounds like an engine and clashed his tail. Here clashed means moved swiftly. So clashed its tail like irons in a dungeon. Here dungeon is a room or a cell in which prisoners are held, especially underground. So this means that our Custard started making fierce noise. Then the dragon made a clatter and a clang. Here clatter, clang and all noises produced by our Custard. Okay, so it started making a clatter and a clang and a jangling scorn. Here jangling scorn means that our Custard twisted the body. Okay, jangling scorn. Twisted the body and attacked the pirate like a robin which attacks the worm. So it means that our Custard became very angry and it jumped, jumped at that pirate and produced some sounds like clatter, clang and snorting sounds and all, and went at the pirate like a bird which attacks a worm. Now we move on to the next stanza. The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon and gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. Now the pirate moved towards the dragon and he drank some grog. Here grog means wine, okay, which he took from his pocket flagon. Here flagon means a vessel. So there was a pocket vessel and from there he took some wine and drank it. Then he fired 2 bullets. Okay, he started firing at Custard. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit Custard. But now what Custard did? Custard started attacking him and he tore him into pieces. What is the meaning of gobbled? Eat something hurriedly and noisily. So our Custard started eating the pirate very fastly, very quickly, as well as producing some sounds. Belinda embraced him, Mustard licked him, no one mourned for his pirate victim. Ink and Blink in glee did gyrate around the dragon that ate the pirate. Belinda, in excitement, embraced Custard. And what Mustard did? Mustard licked him. And no one was sad for the pirate who was the victim of whom? Custard. Ink and Blink gyrated. Gyrate means dance. So they danced around the dragon in glee. Glee means with excitement, glee, happiness, excitement, since he ate the pirate. But presently up spoke little dog Mustard. I would have been twice as brave if I hadn't been flustered. And up spoke Ink and up spoke Blink. We would have been 3 times as brave, we think. And Custard said, I quite agree that everybody is braver than me. After they thanked and showed their love towards the dragon, they changed their mind. Now they were reminded of how they used to make fun of this coward dragon, and now they all were praising him. So at once the dog said that it was just because of some confusion that he wasn't able to do anything. Otherwise, he would have been twice as brave as Custard. Okay, here flustered means upset or confused. Flustered, upset or confused. Now, both Ink and Blink also said that they would have been 3 times braver than Custard. To this, what Dragon said? Custard said that he fully agreed to this, that all of them were more powerful and braver than him. Belinda still lives in her little white house with her little black kitten and her little grey mouse and her little yellow dog and her little red wagon and her really truly little pet dragon. Again, the same stanza in the beginning is repeated here. According to the poet, Belinda still lives in her white house with her kitten, a mouse, a yellow dog, a red wagon, and of course, her real and true pet dragon. Now, Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears, and Ink and Blink chase lions down the stairs. Mustard is as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard keeps crying for a nice, safe cage. In the last part of the poem, again the poet says that Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink and Blink were so strong and brave that they could chase lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as an angry tiger. But Custard again was coward and kept weeping and crying for a nice safe cage. With that, the explanation of the poem is completed. Now we move on to the literary devices used in each and every stanza. First of all, we can find out the rhyme scheme used here. House, mouse rhymes, wagon, dragon rhymes. So the rhyme scheme used in this stanza is AABB. So what is the rhyme scheme? AABB is the rhyme scheme. Now you could see the repetition of the word little in the first line, second line, third line, as well as in the fourth line. So repetition is the next poetic device used here. Now, some words are used here. Look at here. Pet dragon. Pet dragon. Dragon will never be a pet, isn't it? So here the poet has used two words with opposite meanings. So what is the poetic device used here? Oxymoron. Oxymoron is the poetic device used in the last line. Pet dragon. Now, you could see the repetition of the word at the beginning of two consecutive lines. And a little, and a gets repeated. So, anaphora. Now, you could see the repetition of the sentence realio, trulio. So, this particular line is repeated in 1 or 2 or 3, 4 stanzas. So, when a particular sentence in a poem gets repeated again and again, the poetic device is called as refrain. R-E-F-R-A-I-N. Refrain. Okay. Now, realio, trulio, actually this is a poetic license. Okay. The spellings have been changed to create a musical effect. Here, realio means real and trulio means true, just for poetic, just poetic license. When we look into the next stanza, you could see ink, blink rhymes, mustard, custard rhymes. So the rhyme scheme used is A-A-B-B. And you could see that the dog is compared to mustard. Can you see in the third line, dog was sharp as mustard and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard. I think you have understood what is the poetic device used here. Comparison of one thing or other with another one with the help of like or as. So that is simile. Very good. Now, next poetic device used is alliteration. Have you seen it? The word covered, called, custard. So in the last line, covered, called, custard. So 3 words repeated with the same consonant sound. So that is alliteration. In this stanza also the word little gets repeated. So another poetic device used is repetition. Now look at the third stanza. Here the word teeth underneath rhymes. Nose, toes rhymes. So again AABB is the rhyme scheme used, and you could see that dragon's mouth is compared with fireplace. Have you seen that line? Mouth like a fireplace. So dragon's mouth here is compared to a fireplace. So what is the poetic device used here? Simile. Like a simile. Now again refrain, I have told you there is a sentence which gets repeated again and again in this poetry, that is aurelio trulio daggers, aurelio trulio, so that is refrain. Now you could see that chimney for a nose. Here the nose of the custard is compared to chimney. So what is the poetic device used here? Again comparison, but there is no word like or as. So what is the poetic device used here? Metaphor. Okay, now the next stanza. Bears, tears rhymes, rage, cage rhymes. So again AABB is the rhyme scheme used. You could see in the first line, you could see the repetition of the consonant sound b, brave, barrel, bears. So alliteration, b sound is repeated. Now, Belinda's bravery is compared to that of a barrel full of bears. Belinda was as brave as. Simile. Again, mustard was as brave as. Again, simile. Okay. Now you could see the vowel sound a. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. So the sound, the vowel sound a gets, that is, there is a prominence of the vowel sound a, and so the poetic device used again in the first stanza is assonance. Now we can move on to the next stanza. Unmerciful Percival rhymes. Yes, wagon dragon rhymes. So again AABB is the rhyme scheme used here. Realio trulio, that gets repeated again and again. So refrain, the word tickle, tickle, tickle him, repeated. So repetition. Now important poetic device used is allusion. Have you seen the word Percival? So it refers to a person, isn't it? Percival. I have already told you who Percival is. So here Custard is compared to a historical man, Percival. And so the poetic device used is allusion. When we refer to a person or a place, we use this allusion. Again, we could see that ink, bling and mustard are given some human qualities. So we could say that personification is also there. Now the next stanza, house, mouse rhymes, rage, age, cage rhymes. So rhyme scheme used is AABB. Now here another poetic device is used, onomatopoeia. I have already discussed with you what onomatopoeia is. Usage of sound words to create a dramatic effect. If sound words are used to create a dramatic effect, that poetic device is called as onomatopoeia. So where you could see the sounding words, giggle, weak, giggle, weak. So first line and the second line, onomatopoeia is used. Now again, that Custard cried for a nice safe cage, that line already discussed in another stanza. So repetition is the another poetic device. Okay, now we move on to the next stanza. Here sound around rhymes, Belinda winter rhymes. So AABB again is the rhyme scheme used in this stanza. Here you could say in the first line, suddenly, repetition is there. You could say some sound words are used to create a dramatic effect. For example, meowch, cried, okay, growled. So these words shows the sounding words. So onomatopoeia is the poetic device used here. Now instead of window, the poet has used the word winda. So in order to create a rhyme, that is poetic license. Now look at the next stanza. Right, bright, old, good. Same, AABB is the rhyme scheme used. In the third line, you could see bird, black. That burr sound is repeated. And in the second line also, that her sound is repeated. He held his. So in the second line and the third line, consonant sounds are repeated. Okay, so alliteration. Now you could see that an image is created about the appearance of pirate throughout this stanza. So imagery is the another poetic device used. In the next stanza also, the poet has used the same rhyme scheme, AABB. In the first line, the word help gets repeated, so repetition. Now in the second line, you could see terrified, help. The word terrified is an adjective that has to be used along with mustard. Who is terrified here? Mustard. But here, the poet has used the expression terrified, help. Help is a cry. Okay, so the poetic device used here is transferred epithet. Transferred epithet is also known as hyperlash. It's a figure of speech in which the syntactic relationship between two terms is interchanged. Okay, so here terrified mustard is the correct expression, but the poet has used terrified help. So the relationship between the terms got interchanged. Okay, the poet has used the word mousehold to rhyme with household. So that is a poetic license. In the next stanza also, same rhyme scheme is used. AABB. BB. Okay, now the sound of the dragon is compared with the sound of engine, snorting like an engine, like an comparison, so simile. Now, clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon, clashed his tails like irons, again simile. And the last line, he went at the pirate like a robin, like a, again simile. So in the three lines, simile is used. You could see the use of onomatopoeia also here. The sounding words like clatter, clang, jangling. These three words are sound words. These words are used to create a dramatic effect. So the poetic device is onomatopoeia. The attack by the dragon is expressed in a way to make an image in our minds. We are getting that image in our mind, how the dragon attacks the pirate. So, imagery is also there. We can move on to the next stanza. Here again, ABB is the rhyme scheme. Dragon, flagon, hit, bit. In the second line, you could see the use of alliteration, gulp, gorge. The g sound is repeated. Now, here the poet has shown the reaction and the actions made by the pirate on seeing the dragon. We are getting that in imagination. So, imagery is also used. Again, in the next stanza, AABB is the rhyme scheme used. Him, victim, gyrate, pirate. Rhymes. Now, you could see the use of alliteration in the third line. Glee, gyrate. G sound is repeated, so alliteration. Now you could also see the use of the vowel sound O. No one mourned for. That O sound is repeated, so that is assonance. Okay, and you could also see assonance in the next line. Ink, blink, in, glee, did. That I sound, the vowel sound I. Actually, the sound is E. Although the spelling is I, the sound E. Ink, blink, ing, glee, did. That E sound is repeated. So again assonance. That ate pirate. That A sound is repeated. So again assonance. So you could see in the second line, third line and fourth line, the poet has used assonance. When all other stanzas are written with 4 lines, this particular stanza is written in 6 lines. So here the rhyme scheme used is AA, BB, CC. So AA, BB, CC is the rhyme scheme used in this stanza. No particular poetic devices could be seen here, and the next stanza is a repetition of the first and the fourth stanza. Okay, now let's analyze the poem. This poem, The Tale of Custard the Dragon, revolves around the theme that one should not judge a book by its cover. Custard is always mocked for being cowardly, whereas the others are quite brave. However, when a pirate breaks into Belinda's house, Belinda, Ink, Blink and Mustard all are very frightened. It is Custard who charges at the pirate and eats him alive. The one who had seemed to be the biggest coward is the one who saves everyone at the end. On the other hand, the pirate had been full of bravado when he was entering the house. But he loses all of that as soon as he sees Custard approaching him. He can only stare at Custard and have a drink to prepare himself for the unavoidable fate of being gobbled up. Thus, neither Custard nor the pirate is what they seem to be. Therefore, we should never judge someone without fully getting to know them. When the situation demands it, they are bound to show their true colors, which may surprise us. With these words, I'm winding up the video. Thank you for watching.